June 11, 1944, northwest France. A two-story farmhouse stands at the end of a narrow gravel lane, surrounded by low hedgerows and open pasture. The roof is intact. Smoke rises from the chimney. There is no wind. 12 men in Wehrmacht uniforms lie prone in a ditch 40 meters from the building. Their rifles are loaded. Safety mechanisms are off. Eyes fixed through iron sights. The farmhouse door is closed. No curtains move. There is no sound except breathing. One man holds a pair of binoculars. His knuckles are white. He does not lower them. Behind the squad, a light reconnaissance vehicle sits idle with its engine off. No one speaks. No one shifts position. The sun is directly overhead. The door to the farmhouse remains closed. The squad had left their vehicle half a kilometer back and approached on foot. They are part of a rear security unit assigned to monitor movement along secondary roads west of Corentin. Their orders are clear: identify, observe, and report civilian or partisan activity. Weapons are authorized for self-defense or lawful engagement. The farmhouse was flagged the previous evening by a Wehrmacht signals unit passing through the area. Locals had not been seen for 2 days. A window shutter on the upper floor had been left open despite cooler nights. One resident, a woman approximately 50 years old, was observed briefly near the well but did not acknowledge passing patrols. The house sits at a junction used occasionally by couriers. The squad leader is a Feldwebel with 4 years of service. His men are a mix of conscripts and replacements. Most have not fired their weapons in combat. 2 are former police auxiliaries. 1 is a driver reassigned from transport duties. They are tired. Rations have been inconsistent. Their uniforms are mud-stained. None of them expected contact today. The hedgerows are tall enough to obscure approach from the east. Terrain is flat. Visibility is good. The house has no outbuildings except a small shed with no door. A bicycle leans against the shed wall. No animals are visible. The well is covered. A wooden bucket sits beside it. Doctrine is straightforward. If a structure is suspected of concealing armed personnel, it is to be secured by encirclement and verbal challenge. If no response is given, entry is authorized. If resistance is encountered, fire is returned. If civilians are present and uncooperative, they are to be detained and questioned by intelligence personnel. The squad has conducted these searches before. In most cases, structures are empty or occupied by farmers too old or too frightened to leave. Occasionally, hidden supplies are found: food, radios, or maps. Twice the squad encountered individuals who fled upon approach. Once, they found a dead paratrooper buried in a shallow trench near a barn. The body had been partially stripped. No one was charged. The barn was noted and abandoned. Standard procedure requires 3 men to cover the front, 2 to circle to the rear, and the remainder to hold position. The Feldwebel signals with his hand. 3 soldiers move into firing position. Their rifles are aimed at the door and the 2 ground floor windows. The muzzles do not waver. 2 men rise and move left, keeping low. They disappear behind the hedgerow. The sound of their boots on gravel fades. The remaining men wait. One man adjusts his helmet strap. Another wipes sweat from his forehead with the back of his hand. The Feldwebel lowers the binoculars and reaches for his holster. His fingers rest on the flap, but do not open it. The door to the farmhouse does not open. The Feldwebel raises his right hand. palm open, fingers spread, the signal to hold. No one moves. He does not lower his hand. He does not look at his men. His eyes remain fixed on the door. Seconds pass. The two men who circled to the rear do not return. No shots are heard. No shouts. The farmhouse remains still. The Feldwebel's hand stays raised. One soldier shifts his weight slightly. His rifle barrel dips, then steadies. Another man blinks. His breathing is audible now. The driver at the rear of the formation glances toward the vehicle. He does not stand. The Feldwebel lowers his hand slowly. He does not give another signal. He does not speak. His rifle remains slung across his back. His hand moves away from his holster. No order is given. The men remain in position. Minutes pass. The sun moves slightly. Shadows shift along the farmhouse wall. No one asks a question. No one looks away from the building. The two soldiers who move to the rear reappear at the edge of the hedgerow. They walk slowly back toward the squad. Their rifles are lowered. One shakes his head. The other says nothing. They rejoin the line and crouch beside the others. The Feldwebel does not acknowledge them. He continues to watch the farmhouse. His jaw is tight. His hands rest on his knees. He does not reach for the binoculars again. One soldier whispers something to the man beside him. The man does not respond. Another soldier adjusts his rifle strap. The motion is slow, deliberate. He does not shoulder the weapon. His finger remains outside the trigger guard. No one knows what to do. The door to the farmhouse is still closed. The smoke from the chimney has thinned, but not stopped. A bird lands on the roof and hops twice before flying away. The well bucket does not move. The bicycle remains against the shed. Time continues to pass. The squad does not advance. They do not withdraw. They do not fire. They do not call out. They simply wait. The Feldwebel finally stands. He does not give an order. He turns and walks back toward the vehicle. His movements are stiff. The men follow one by one. No one runs. No one looks back. The Feldwebel later wrote in his log that the structure was observed and deemed unoccupied. No hostile action was recorded. No entry was made. The report was filed with the company clerk and forwarded to regimental headquarters. It was noted as routine surveillance. No explanation was provided for the decision not to advance. No justification was requested. The squad returned to their assigned patrol route and continued their duties without incident. One soldier, in a letter written 3 days later, mentioned that the house had seemed wrong. He did not elaborate. Another soldier told a replacement later that week that the Feldwebel had seen something in the upper window. The replacement asked what it was. The soldier did not answer. The Feldwebel did not discuss the incident with his men. He did not report anything unusual. He did not request clarification of orders. He did not file a supplementary statement. His log entry was brief and factual. It matched standard format for uneventful patrols. The area was searched again 2 days later by a different unit. They found no one. The farmhouse was empty. Furniture remained in place. Beds were made. Dishes were stacked in a cupboard. A loaf of bread sat on the table, the partially eaten. The fireplace was cold. No weapons were found, no documents, no signs of recent occupation. The second unit reported the structure as abandoned. They did not enter the shed. They did not check the well. They noted the bicycle and moved on. The squad returned to their vehicle and drove east toward their staging area. No one spoke during the ride. The engine noise filled the silence. The driver kept his eyes on the road. The Feldwebel sat in the passenger seat and did not turn around. At the staging area, the men dismounted and dispersed. They cleaned their rifles. They ate their rations. They lay down on their bedrolls and stared at the canvas overhead. One man smoked a cigarette. Another wrote a letter he did not finish. The driver checked the vehicle's fuel and oil levels. Everything was routine. No debriefing was conducted. No questions were asked. The Feldwebel filed his report and returned to his tent. He sat on his cot and removed his boots. He did not speak to anyone for the rest of the evening. The next morning, the squad was assigned a different patrol route. They conducted searches of 3 additional structures over the following week. All were empty or occupied by elderly civilians. No resistance was encountered. No shots were fired. The Feldwebel's reports remained brief and factual. None of the men discussed the farmhouse again. No commendation was issued. No disciplinary action was taken. The incident did not appear in after-action summaries or intelligence briefings. The farmhouse was not marked on tactical maps. No follow-up investigation was conducted. The Feldwebel's service record shows no gaps or irregularities during this period. His promotion timeline remained on schedule. He was transferred to a different unit in August. His final posting was in Germany, where he served in a training battalion until the end of the war. 2 members of the squad were killed in combat later that summer. 3 were captured and held as prisoners until 1947. 1 deserted in September and was never located. The driver survived the war and returned to his hometown. He worked in a factory and did not speak about his service. He died in 1982. The farmhouse was demolished in 1947 during reconstruction efforts. The land was cleared and sold to a neighboring farmer. A new structure was built on a different part of the property. No memorial was erected. No plaque was installed. The well was filled in. The shed was torn down. The bicycle disappeared. Local records make no mention of the incident. Parish registers show no unusual deaths or disappearances during that period. Interviews conducted decades later with surviving residents produced no relevant information. Most did not remember the farmhouse. Those who did recalled it as unremarkable. The Feldwebel returned to civilian life in 1946. He worked as a clerk in a municipal office. He married in 1950. He had 2 children. He did not join veteran organizations. He did not attend reunions. He did not give interviews. He kept no diary. His family said he rarely discussed the war. He died in 1979. His obituary mentioned his military service in 1 sentence. No details were provided. His children did not request further information. His personal papers, if any existed, were not preserved. One former member of the squad, the man who had whispered during the wait, was interviewed by a regional historian in 1992. He was asked about his time in France. He described the general movements of his unit, the terrain, and the weather. When asked if anything unusual had occurred, he paused. He said he could not recall anything specific. The interview ended shortly afterward. The driver, in his final years, told his grandson that he had once been part of a patrol that came close to something terrible. He did not explain what it was. His grandson assumed he meant combat. The driver did not correct him. No evidence exists to confirm or deny what was inside the farmhouse. No survivor came forward. No hidden account was discovered. The structure left no trace beyond its physical removal. The gravel lane where the farmhouse stood is now part of a paved rural road. Traffic is light. The hedgerows have been trimmed or removed. The land is used for pasture. Cows graze near where the well once stood. Tourists occasionally pass through the area on their way to coastal memorials. Few stop. The incident, if it can be called that, exists only in the form of a single log entry and the fading memories of men who are no longer alive. No photograph was taken. No map was marked. No order was preserved. The moment itself, 12 men lying in a ditch, rifles aimed, waiting, left no physical evidence. What was avoided, if anything, cannot be confirmed. What was spared, if anything, was never recorded. The Feldwebel made a decision, or chose not to make one. His men followed, or did not act. The door remained closed. The trigger was never pulled. The farmhouse is gone. The squad is gone. The war ended. The land was cleared. The records were filed and forgotten. What happened in that ditch, in those minutes of silence, is no longer knowable. Only the absence remains.